Okay.
Terry BOGARD. Like, look at this man, such personality and charm. Well, for all of you who think that way and also just been like, who is this man? Why is he in everything? And I mean everything. Street, Smash, anime harem fighter. He's in your wall.
Are you okay?
Where does he come from? Well, the series Fatal Fury are Garou, the poster child of SNK. Well, in recent years, that has become KOF, but even with all the KOF characters, Terry is still on top. Kyo is in shambles. Fatal Fury was made as a response to Street Fighter 2 by a Nishima. I hope I'm saying that right. This was an SNK exclusive, as they used to make consoles called the Neo Geo. A popular game system at the time was things like Samurai Showdown, Fatal Fury, and Metal Slug. SNK is known mainly for their fighting games like KOF and Samurai Showdown, and the brand new Garou City of the Wolves. But the first game ever in the fighting game franchise that SNK made was the old Fatal Fury. Felt very similar to Street Fighter with special moves and how the characters play, with the jump moves and specials, but there is a lot different. This game is a 3-button game, punch, kick, and grab, which, especially for games like this, helps kind of get you into it. There's also a lane system. There's this 2-lane system where you can hop between the foreground and background. It doesn't offer much in this game other than some jumps between and back, but it's so unsafe. Just wait for your opponent to go back to the foreground and just hit him. But we have 3 playable characters, the brothers Terry and Andy BOGARD and Joe Higashi, who are entering the King of Fighters tournament. Andy and Terry, whole goal of this is one man, Geese Howard, a rich billionaire who killed their dad, Jeff. Why? He just didn't like him. And Joe, who is a friend of Terry and Andy, but honestly, he's just there for moral support and hands. He wants to run the ones. I played Terry for my first run of arcade mode. I did try Joe and Andy, but I know what I'm here for. It's to play Terry BOGARD. Luckily, I do know how to do some special moves. I'm not gonna lie, if I didn't know how to do these, and screwed, like Power Wave saved me. Arcade mode was eating my quarters. First 2 rounds, I just started fighting random nobodies. I can't remember the name of these characters, but they just got Power Wave to mush. Is that Michael Bite My Ear Off Tyson? How I go from Street Fugs to Mike Tyson, bro? This ain't fair. And he's also stealing Joe's moves. I just love that old video games use Mike Tyson so much. Like Punch-Out does it, and a lot of other games. Like in Street Fighter, Balrog is basically Mike Tyson. After him, my next round is Kung Fu Roo? Okay, that's gotta be a little racist. His name is basically Kung Fu Roo. And like, oh, it's just this old Kung Fu master. This should be easy. Why am I fighting the Asian Hulk? Master Roshi is cheating, no other explanation. His spin move that just takes so much chip damage, and then these low beam attacks that he can just spam. I was lucky I could cheese him with jump kicks. Next match was forgettable at best. Aiden, this big body diabetic. He's super big, so all his moves have such active frames. Like, they're active forever. And then he was doing something that I don't know if it's a glitch or the start of the cancel system. In Garou and the new City of the Wolves, combos are built by these cancels. You can do feints and other things to cancel the in-lag of certain moves. And he's doing a low into another low and taking 2/3 of my health. This is very unfair. The only reason I was able to beat his big body is because his special spit has such a long cooldown. I could just power wave through it. But before the end, I do like how this game gives little story tidbits for each character in the middle. Like, it's a little cutscene in the arcade mode. It's fun seeing Geese go, who is this man? Why is he so strong? Or after trying to mash A with all my life in the bonus stages. They also tell you how to do the special moves in the middle, which I think is a good way for players to learn how to do the straight up cool stuff in the game. The only thing is the input for crack shoot is weird. Yeah, let me do down back into up forward? That's a weird motion and really hard to input in the middle of a match. Next we get Billy Kane, who becomes a staple of this series. This man cheating, he has a whole weapon. But really easy, in fact. Just Power wave, he loses his weapons, someone will throw a new one, but that leaves him open for grabs. That's it. Great job, Terry, man. You are the way. Oh, of course, secret boss. Not really. We knew this was gonna happen from the beginning. Geese kidnaps me. That can't be allowed, but oh well. Any rich man who does martial arts does. He challenges me to a fight to the death. Honestly, I can respect an evil billionaire if he can throw hands. Right? Like, Elon is evil, but he can't throw hands. Like, Geese and Heihachi, I can respect. I don't like them. I don't like what they do. But at least if you're going to be corrupt and be able to run the fade. Like, if I get screwed over by you, at least I'm like, damn, he could fight. He then avenges his father and throws Geese off a cliff. And 3 days later, Geese dies. Yeah, right. I know these people don't die, mostly because I've played the later games and I know he's in them. But also because, I mean, come on, devs can say straight to your face, nah, he's dead. He's not coming back. Just for 6 months later to be like, well, we thought about it, and it is annoying though. He is spamming these Rapuken so quickly, one after another after the next. They're so fast. He's also just countering my moves, air and ground counters. I can see why no one could touch him. I really like the first Fatal Fury. Yeah, sometimes I got frustrated at this big back, but there's more personality with this with only 3 characters than some other modern fighting games. Like all the cutscenes, the lose screens, seeing characters like Terry almost asking the player, bro, please continue, bro, I want to kick his ass. And even a little bit of a story. Yeah, it's very bare, basically.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Like, Terry and Andy and Joe, they're just cool dudes. You want to like these characters. Even Geese. You don't like him because of what he did, but you're like, respect. I can see why this was a very popular fighting game at the time. It for Fatal Fury 1, a really good start to this franchise, which brings us on to Fatal Fury 2. They changed a lot in this one. So first things first is a 4-button game now, not 2. Still having the foreground and background battle. I'll be honest, these don't really do much for me in these games. The fact that I have to jump between the 2 stages mid-match, I'm like, okay, cool, but more or less an annoyance. Cool concept, but because someone in the background can't interact with someone in the foreground, it loses the strategy I think the game devs wanted. The 4-button game, we have a light punch, heavy punch, light kick, heavy kick, which adds a lot of new additions, and I feel like that's better for a game like this than the 2-button game. You also get some roster additions, basically doubling the roster with fan favorite Mai. How do they have physics like this in a game made so long ago? And Kim Kwak Hong, I'm probably saying that wrong. These two are really the only stable fighters you'll see throughout the series, and see them across many more SNK games to come. The next 3 make their fair share of appearances, but are more or less lost to Fatal Fury history. Big Bear, who's just a big man. Junpei, I'll be honest, I was not expecting the little Asian man to be gripping me up and disrespect me by throwing cookies at me. And Ching, who seems like Blanca if he wasn't green, but he's green where it counts. Money. Of course, Andy, Terry, and Joe all make their respective returns. This game is a lot smoother comparably with punches flowing into each other. They also changed some specials, no more down, back, up, forward, and some new special additions to the older characters. Bro, if I get DP'd one more time by Joe... Let me just get the bag ready. It feels like I'm Sisyphus, a never-ending hill of fights. Now, there is some story, but the big thing here is there's this dude that's trying to take Geese Howard's place, and rumors of Geese Howard's return. Told you, they just don't die. Now, I tried Kim, got my ass kicked, and said, fine, I'll play Terry. When I switched to Terry and I had to fight myself, all I'm going to say is the Terry brain rot is real. You do have to make it through the whole roster to become the champion through all the stages. It's okay because I'm getting distracted by the amazing music. But of course, fighting the whole roster is not the end. I'm not gonna lie, having more fights after this is already brutal. I was struggling with round 1 of all these fights. These bots were spamming. I got past the main cast with both Terry and Andy. Andy's dash was a bit too overpowered. But after all of that with Terry, gotta fight Billy Kane again with really refined moves. Honestly, the changes from 1 and 2 are a sight to see with this man. And I love how he's just the epitome of doing it for the bag. Nothing personal, it's just Geese pays a shit ton of money. Then Axel Hawk, a big body boxer. These punches feel like they're taking half the screen. But then the fight with Lawrence seemed easier. Sometimes this fight was a little bit easier, I don't know why. Yes, he has a sword, but it's way easier to be more patient and get good counterattacks. And with the final challenge, Wolfgang. Of course, he's like twice my size, and insane range. Has a faster projectile than Geese, and really good movement. It's not anything crazy, but it's enough to just pressure and pressure and pressure. Like, Wolfgang is nearly kicking my teeth into the ground, and the most classical music plays in the background. Luckily, I knew how to ask if somebody was okay. All I imagine is just Terry absolutely dog-walking his opponent in whatever regard, and then just afterwards eating a cheeseburger with his hand out like, "Are you okay?" I really like how refined Fatal Fury 2 felt, adding the new buttons and all the additions to the rosters. Heck, there was even the second edition called Fatal Fury Special, which added some of the boss characters from the last game like Duck King and Tong Fu Ru. Duck King got a well-deserved glow-up. Fu taught Geese and Jeff BOGARD. You can even play as the bosses from this game like Billy and Axel. And even having Geese playable. Ah yes, time to spam Raputkins. And if you beat arcade mode without losing a single time, you can never lose. I could not have done this. The AI in this game was a bit much. Like, I fought some of the toughest fighting game bosses, high level Nago, Azazel, but these fights have been some of the hardest. I guess that's why SMK is known for some of the hardest fighting game bosses. In all your fights, you could fight and unlock Ryo Sasaki from Art of Fighting, who is basically that game's Ryu. Which, a little bit of history, was so popular as fans, that is how KOF was made. Fighting games would have secret characters and secret like boss fights again, but you can't really do that because of the internet. Fatal Fury 2 was a great improvement, but there were some things wrong. Like, I would hit an enemy with a jump attack and then just get grabbed immediately. But that's just the jank of old fighting games, and it's understandable. All these games were made in the 90s. All of the Fatal Fury games. And now releasing in 1995, Fatal Fury 3.
Outstretches its icy grip. Lone wolves are back. Fatal Fury 3. Road to the final victory.
The first real graphical update of Fatal Fury, and man, it looks so much better. Seeing the new characters with their new sprites and outfits and designs is so cool. There's also a gameplay overhaul with a ton of new moves. Seeing Terry finally having all his classic moves, like I can finally power dunk. Also, I think in this game we get the first kind of real showing of what makes Fatal Fury such a unique fighting game compared to others. Unique, the cancel and fate system. I knew how to do the feints, but I never knew how to use them in combos, so I just stuck to spamming Power Wave and Burn Knuckle. The foreground and background mechanic makes so much more sense in this game. As if someone's doing a special or a long range move, you move out of the way for a bigger counter. I actually found myself using it properly and understanding when and how to use it. You also get more staples in this game, Kim, which is a little sad, and Geese is in the base roster. I like the idea of boss characters becoming normal characters because the main cast has become so much stronger, so the boss character is not as crazy and powerful anymore. They can be a base roster character. I also think it's just fun to play a character that beat the shit out of me in an earlier game. And some new ones. We got Blue Mary. Damn, SNK. I think your employees might need help. All SNK females are some of the most over-sexualized fighting game characters, and it just gets worse from here on in future games that SNK has made. Also, supposedly Terry's love interest, don't know how true that is. We get Bob, a capoeira guy, and I love all his interactions. Everyone's like, capoeira? What is that nonsense? Frank Pro Bash is just the big man. Han Fu really couldn't get any more creative than Tong Fu, but this guy is like a mix of Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. Imagine taking all their characters from all their movies and merging it into one character. Yes, even Rush Hour. And lastly, Sokaku. Fatal Fury has their weirdo character. Imagine taking Faust and making him a monk with stand powers. This was the character that made me go, okay, I have to dodge the foreground and background, or I am not beating him. And a few other characters that are secret, like the main bad guy is Yamazaki. Damn, he just outranges me, outplays me. He has the same counters as Geese. So you think you're doing a jump attack? Nah, you're getting jumped. And some other boss characters for later. When I was playing arcade mode going between Mai, Bob, and Terry, I really like how fast and agile the characters are. Mai is really good, but she does not do well when cornered. Bob's spin move and deceptive range helped me a lot. And of course, I finished it off with Terry. I also think that some of the super moves were in this game. I saw Terry do a power geyser, unknown how to perform. I like seeing the sprites do it, but I would like to know how to do it. Also, the sprites moving between each stage, like Bob just spitting on his head. Or if you beat Mai with Terry, your next round is Andy, and you see Mai crying in the back as Andy stands there like, bro, come on. And before the final fight, you rematch Yamazaki. Not too hard, duck the long range normal, and he goes down. Also, be aware of when he's going to counter, because he will lean back. And that leaves the final fight, Jin Shonsu, some kid looking for the scrolls that Terry collected, and supposedly it gives him immortality. Now, I heard there was another fight with a Jin Kone, but I only beat arcade mode once. Honestly, Yamazaki was harder than this kid. He would dash a ton, but Burn Knuckle was more than enough. Funny though, in Terry's arcade ending, he straight up just adopts a kid. I'm your dad now. I don't think this is canon, but Terry's straight up adopting kids is not something out of the ordinary. And we'll see more of this just I'm your dad now behavior later. I do like the true ending though. Geese is technically the canonical ending. These scrolls that everyone is after hold power, and Geese is the one to get them. He bests the brothers, and Billy's like, so boss, what are we going to do with these? And Geese is like, burn them. Billy all confused, what? Straight up, Geese says no one has gotten these in 2,000 years, and I'm the first to do that. That alone proves I'm the strongest. Again, piece of shit, terrible billionaire, but at least he's respectable. Like giving up ultimate power because he just knows he's better. And with all that set up, that gets us into the Real Bout Fatal Fury series. Looking at the Real Bout series, the first and most noticeable thing is the UI change. The second thing I notice is that the character sprites are almost identical to Fatal Fury 3. And there was something even bigger that I noticed about the Real Bout games, other than just the identical characters and the different stages, is they all basically play exactly the same. Some have some different moves, but it really feels more or less like new versions of a game, like Street Fighter 3, Second Impact, and Third Strike. Same game, just new versions. And like a modern time, think like a DLC. All the sprites are identical. You got some new ones per game, like Kim and Duck King. Getting Duck King here is really cool. His glow up is crazy. Man went from a nobody that I completely forgot about, completely brushed over, to one of my favorite characters. Like the moves, the dancing, the fact that his little duck copies him and dances with him. The 0 to hero glow up. Real Bout series does add a lot and make some changes that kind of brings it back. game's back to a 3-button game with a sidestep button, so technically 4. You have punch, kick, and jolt skills. Punch and kick are standard punches, kicks with the high and lows. The jolt skills are either stronger moves or your special moves, but just more powerful. And this game also feels so smooth, like the moves just easily combo into each other. I do like how everything just flows kind of naturally, like you're just pressing buttons and you're getting combos. Also, Bout has really obvious super moves. In the last game they were there, but it wasn't obvious how to do them. These are very obvious. When the go meter is full, you are able to pull off super moves. Some way easier than others. Like some, how do you expect me to do this mid-match? Like come on, what is this input? Luckily, Power Geyser is pretty easy, even though it doesn't feel smooth to do, having to go back then forward. Also fully get cancels with Terry, for example, being able to cancel Power Wave and Burn Knuckle, but I don't know how to like flow it into combos. Like even Duck King, he's doing this dance, but I don't know how that can transition. Now, there are some small differences in Real Bout, Special, and Real Bout 2, but let's just start with Real Bout 1. The unique stuff about this game is that you can knock people out of bounds, like seeing people get thrown off an elevator or a train, or Duck King getting shocked. The sidestep is also the same as Fatal Fury 3. I do like the 2D game with sidestep and out of bounds. It's just really fun mixing in those kind of 3D elements. I played this one twice with Terry and Duck King. Terry's the same as always. Power Wave, Power Dunk, just the same moves. But you can put on a lot of pressure with him. Arcade mode's about the same. You fight almost the whole roster. I did not see Han Fu though. I mean, I'm not complaining. I don't like fighting him anyways. Story-wise, it's very similar to Fatal Fury 1, as Geese Howard is back and being the bad guy. And he even hires some other people like Yamazaki. What's funny is he's not trying to prove he's the strongest, and he knows he's not. So he's straight up just using knives, which I think is like, okay, Yamazaki was so egotistical and prideful in the last game. He was like, man, nobody's gonna beat me. Now he's just like, they can beat me. I better start using weapons. I do like the bigger health bars in these games and how the super meter builds and how there's a timer on the super meter, right? You have a window of opportunity. When you have it, it will go away. Super moves do take half health though, so if you do hit one, they are very powerful. And when you're below half health, you can use like secret special moves like triple Power Geyser. Terry, it is not that serious. I like the idea of high reward moves with super high risk. Like there's a hard input to get these, and also the fact that it will go away. So if you're blocking a ton, you're not going to get these super moves. It's good that the input are difficult, but we got to make sure it's humanly possible. Terry has the most story, as it is canon having him get to Geese. I do like the zoom out at the very end. It's incredibly cool, especially for the 90s. Now, I beat Geese to a pebble. He doesn't feel as strong or as powerful since Fatal Fury 1. I think they should have given him more moves to make it feel like the impact of Geese Howard's return. And he falls again, and man, look at Terry. He's grown so much since his quest for revenge. He even tries to save Geese, but Geese is too prideful. I also think he was trying to get out of paying child support, but that's for later. My second playthrough was Duck King. I love the dancing on my enemies and with his feints, being able to spin across half the mat and do all this damage. But I did wish we had this man in the new Garou, but instead we get some random DJ. Like, Bout 1 was so much fun seeing all these characters' endings, like Duck King just being a bro and getting drinks with the crew. Other than like super moves in the health bar, it does feel very similar to Fatal Fury 3. They did take out a lot of moves with like making it a 2-button game. I still feel like a 4-button game would be better in this type of situation, but it made for a very fun and interesting game, and that gets us to Real Bout Special. This adds a few new roster additions, like some old character, and changes some bosses around. Oh great, Wolfgang's back. Tong Fu and Cheng are back. I like how they changed Tong Fu. He doesn't go big anymore, but you'll see him, like his arm go big in a move or two. But again, he's just Master Roshi. Cheng, his whole body is breaking his shirt. Like, why would they animate that? So we get back to how Fatal Fury worked at the beginning, where you go back to the foreground and background, and you can do specials and move around and other things. Personally, I like the Fatal Fury 3 style, where you dodge into the background and then go back in. Staying in the background means you can kind of stall and way more in Fatal Fury 3. The UI looks really good, especially with all the character animations. Everyone gets their own stages, and you get to see these animations as you go in. Kim has kids? This man is a father? No wonder he wasn't in the other games. Billy has this little rock intro, Lawrence gets this little flower. It's really cool seeing every character kind of get that own personality. Kim is also who I played. The ability to have a training mode and actually see what I'm doing helped so much. It made much more sense to use the flying kicks and then how to combo him. Right, in Fatal Fury 2, I was like, man, he just does not feel fun to play. Being able to just kick and kick and kick and kick, I almost feel bad for my opponents. Almost. Knowing also all his special moves makes a big difference when playing. Except against Hunfu. The amount of damage he did with his nunchucks, I'm glad I did not have to fight him in the original real bout. Billy is so cool, like his intro with the guitar. Man, Billy really is the American the Japanese think we are. But wait, he's British. Oh, no, get this man out of here. And after a few fights, this one felt a lot smaller than the last one. You go straight to the sub-boss, Lawrence. And he is much better than he was in 2. The fact that he is cutting like a million times and he's actually really quick and can put on a lot of pressure, it's really upgraded him since, again, Fatal Fury 2. And of course, Wolfgang's back. Not again. And in all the fights before, I was putting on so much pressure and pressure and pressure. And I even tried that at the beginning with Wolfgang. But I realized I was just like, man, I just gotta sit here and wait. I will do it. Don't tempt me. Don't. Is a boss character. More than Geese. His massive size. Like as I said earlier, I was fighting him like he was aggressive. But I would come in, jump in, he would counter me, and I'd be like, alright, you know what, that's fair. You know, you have counters. I should have expected this. You know, let me try again. And he has this super tornado move that you can't even block. Man, in this economy, I can't even block without losing half my health. But I was able to get him down using Kim's descending kicks. Oh. Fighting Wolfgang feels more like Sisyphus than any other fighting game boss I've ever fought. I do like the little cutscene at the end with the characters. Like, I love Terry's little monkey doing a power geyser. But the endings are kind of meh, just like two characters talking. I do miss, like, the pixel-drawn art pieces of characters' story. He does have some secret fights like Shadow Geese, but I don't typically get to these. I'm not that good. And I have one more final game to get through. Fatal Fury, Real Bout, the Newcomers. Or Real Bout, Fatal Fury, the Newcomers 2. I don't know, confusing name. Now, base roster is exactly the same, but we get 2 new characters. Why are we calling this the Newcomers? I get it, it's like a Street Fighter thing, but at least in Street Fighter 3, when they called it the Newcomers, they had a whole new roster. These are just the same with a boxer Rick and a kung fu girl Lee. Oh, my bad. Sorry, there's a secret unlockable character there, so there's 3 characters. So you also get Alfred. I have no idea why they call this the Newcomers. Like, and we also get some move changes, like Terry gets a low slide. And he also loses power dunk. It just doesn't feel like that much of a change. I played Rick and I would love to see him in the new game. His playstyle is so much fun. Being able to dodge back and hit with some of the hardest boxing moves, or setting up the sweeps and having the slow overhead punch. Let me ask this. Why is it that the 2 series games in Fatal Fury, their arcade modes feel so long? Like, I was running with Rick with like the first 5 rounds, and then I fought Jin, and I thought, okay, he had to be the boss with how he could steal half my health bar. Just kept going and going. There was this option for when you lose, you can choose to make things easier, like either give yourself more special meter or take the enemy's health bar down to 1/4, and it's so tempting after your 30th time, just being like, I'm gonna cut his health bar. It's right there. Just press the button. Just press the button. But I can't. My pride. But maybe. Just more fights and fights and fights until again, Wolfgang. He can now charge his super, and he's a lot faster than he was in the last game. I hate fighting this classical big European. I just hope that I could backstep at the right time and dash in and melt that health bar. Now, I don't know if it was just Rick, but with some meter moves, I would get different moves and more powerful versions, like an EX, but that may have just been Rick. I don't really look at the other characters, because there's no point for me to play this game again with the other characters, because it just felt like a glorified DLC. I mean, that's how they did it back in the day. They would release new versions with new stuff in the game. In a modern game, this would just be, oh yeah, you know, Season Pass, DLC, 3 characters. I don't know, when they call the game the Newcomers, I guess I was expecting more, like at least a whole roster overhaul with new mechanics, ID changes to old classic characters, and a real refined new look. Now, the arcade endings for this game is really cool, and I love the fact they all get their own little art styles, but I don't think we need to confirm what Mai and Andy are doing. A game that should actually be called Real Bout Fatal Fury: The Newcomers is Garou Mark of the Wolves, but there is one more game I need to talk about before we get to that. Oh, I see. I have been advised not to speak of this game. All I will say, PS1 graphics, reboot to the Fatal Fury series, and I think it was a game to get people introduced to these characters right before we get to
Garou, Mark of the Wolves.
Garou Mark of the Wolves, the final game in this series for, well, a while until very recently. This game is, in simple words, amazing. A cult classic. It was made to rival Street Fighter 3, and I'm going to be honest, I enjoy this game way more than Street Fighter 3. Oh yes, this game should have been called The Newcomers, is because it's an entire roster overhaul, well, except for my main man, Terry BOGARD, but I will get into middle-aged Terry later. So, the whole roster overhaul comes with a new protagonist, Rock Howard. Oh yeah, full relation to Geese Howard, but let's take 30 steps back, cause some of y'all are a bit lost. So, going back to when that Geese was probably trying to get out of child support, oh he did, he so did. While Geese was recovering after FF1, he had a kid with a girl. That kid is Rock Howard. Now, Rock's mom got very ill, so Rock went to Geese like, Dad, please help. And Geese was like, oh damn, that milk kind of expensive. Shit, she got insurance? No, we were hoping you would have insurance since, you know, you're a billionaire. Kid, you think I became a billionaire by taking care of my mini family's problems? Get out of here. And he kicks Rock right out. Now, Terry then met this kid, and Terry did the thing that Terry would do. You go, damn kid, well, guess what? I'm your dad now. And events unfolded, Real Bout Fatal 3 happens, and Terry, well, kind of kills Geese. And Rock in anger wanted to confront Geese, and then Terry's like, sorry kid, beat you to it. And from there, Terry is basically the father figure and only parental figure of Rock for a while because his mom is then presumed dead. Large quotations dead. That's the lead up to this game. Gets an invitation, a KOF tournament ran by a Kane R. Heilman, who says there is info about Rock's mom, and Rock joins him to try to get more information. This kicks off Garou Mark of the Wolf. This game builds a lot of the Fatal Fury systems, but really changes so much. I think that's also why they called it Garou in the States. That was always the Japanese name for Fatal Fury, but I think they were trying to move away from the Fatal Fury title with this new game. Now, character-wise, we have Rock Howard, who is a mix of Geese and Terry, which sounds so cool until you realize he's like bottom 3 in the game. Damn, how are you going to make the protagonist the worst character in the game? Kim Dong-hong, who is like his father Kim, but way more cocky and self-centered, and you can see that in his playstyle. Like, he's not really giving a lot of effort. And then Jae-hoon, who is very similar to his father, felt really one-to-one to Kim. You also finally got a true grappler in Tizoc. Oh yeah, give me that. Futaba, who replaces Lee in all the sins. Yeah, we will never see her again with how popular Futaba has become. Her brother Gato, who's a very powerful pressure character. Then Kevin Ryan, who feels like if you made Terry a grappler with exploding knees. He also gets this little kid helping him out. B. Jeanette, who looks very similar to another character. Oda, you dog! Boa Hancock has to be inspired by B. Jeanette. There ain't no way.
And Kushand Butt. Why did they name him that? Is this some kind of sick joke? He's actually a student of Rio from Art of Fighting, which is really cool. And his real name is Marco Rodriguez, a way better name.
Freeman, who seems like a mix of Remy from Streets and Iori, but doesn't really matter, they shot him in his arcade mode as they knew he was a mistake. And then Hokutomaro is a ninja kid who learned under Andy Bogard. Grant, who seems like that emo kid, is just like, you can never beat me, my ultimate power. And then he loses and he's like, no way, my dark energy. And then Kane, who is the main villain. I wonder who the enemy stand user is. And of course, Terry Bogard. In his 30s, but man is still the same old. But finally, I can do my favorite Terry special.
This game also transfers the reins to a new generation very well. There's two reasons for that. One, because all the characters that people do like in the last game have some sort of like student or like a character in this game that is similar to them. And also because, oh, I want to go play should go play KOF.
The gameplay overhaul in this one is also incredible. We're back to a 4-button game, light and heavy punches and kicks, with a ton of new moves and mechanics. The first is the cancel system is insanely good. You can cancel almost everything, even cancel the cancels for some very funny moments and voice lines. Combos keep that smoothness, but they do feel a little more jingy, but you have to learn the breaks and the feints to learn how to cancel into those combos. These combos start to hurt my hands after a while. Super Meter also takes the approach where you build it and you keep it. Now you have two supers, the regular and the power supers, kind of similar to the last game, but one are off the light punch and one are off heavy version of the moves. And it doesn't go away if you don't use it. The TOP system, whereas your health bar is at a certain percentage that you get a pick, you get a combo extender or reverser. And the just block, if you block frame perfect, there is less lag. It all just works together really well. I see why people still come back to this game. I learned some basic B&B, but I could never really pull anything off in matches and arcade mode. Speaking of arcade mode, I decided to try out a few new characters since so much was overhauled, but I did stick with the classic Terry. It's a little sad no one else returns, but we do basically get Kim's playstyle and Jaehoon, but no Mai or Andy or Joe. Sad to see him go. But back to Terry, we do get a new move for him, this Dash Rekka, which is really good for combos and high damage. Also very plus, and with cancels, you can do even more. Going through arcade mode, it's just Terry being Terry as always, asking if his opponent is okay before annihilating all chances of hope. With Terry, I had the best grasp of combos, so I was able to do a little something. And being able to use super moves on Wake Up and just... I did get to Grant and beat him, but no Kane, which I thought was weird. I learned that you can only fight Kane if you win all the matches with an average of a AAA score, which is disappointing because you do all of that to be left on a cliffhanger. I don't get the arcade ending, that's a little unfair. I did my due diligence. Let me fight the final boss and get my arcade ending. I really want my money. I then went through with Tizoc, and man, these bots made it so easy to get grabs. Oh, I'm gonna do it. Give me that. One interaction though with Tizoc fighting Marco, and Marco goes, fried chicken, my favorite. What? The implications of this no holding back. Huh? Wait, why are you blue? I also played with Jaehoon. The complete opposites of these. Kim Hong is just like this most egotistical, party animal, and then just Jaehoon is this sweet, respectful hard worker. It's the easiest character I had a time with because I just went back to my time and proven strategy of sitting and waiting. Don't tempt me, you oversized emo. Grant the sub boss was pretty cool with the quick and fast psychic powers, but I'm not gonna lie, one of the times I fought him, he was just spamming his cheapest move. And Kane, to be honest, I didn't get to fight him, and I'm strapped for time. I figured out why, but it's like that's going to be too much for me to try to do and learn this game. Spend almost 20 hours just to get the AAA rating for me because I want to play City of the Wolves, and I can't until this video's done. I feel like if you're going to have a boss like this, make it secret. Don't make it required for the endings. But the canon ending is Rock joining Kane in his quest. Kane's quest is to seize Geese Howard's place. The only reason Rock joins him is because, well, Rock's mom might be alive. Might. And you know what? Terry's like, alright man, go on, I believe in you. Terry's just so cool. No hate. Trust his son/students. And even when thinking about Kane and the consequences of what Kane did, he just goes, shit, maybe things are better. And then plays basketball with some kids. This is why Terry is one of the most loved fighting game characters. You just can't hate him. Wait. Basketball? Dunking? Power dunk? Is Terry balling? Garou is a really good game, other than the arcade thing, but I can look past this since the gameplay is so much fun. Honestly, I would come back to this game if City of the Wolves didn't come out, well, 3 days ago since this is getting uploaded. I'm a little behind, guys. I think really what they did with this game, it's a lot for a newcomer to be like, whoa, what's going on? But they also give you the ability to just do cool stuff very easily. If you want to get high level, that's where you're really going to have to take a look and learn at how these systems and games work. I'm glad I took the time to look at every Fatal Fury game. I played Terry so much in Smash, it was kind of inevitable, and now I have characters who I may even like a bit more than Terry. Tizoc just needs to do a little bit more and then I'll like him more. Seeing the games progress in such a short period of time, again, all of these games were made in the span of 10 years, which is a little wild if you compare 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to Real Bout, then Real Bout is special, and Real Bout 2, and lastly Garou. It's how much faster it became, how the graphics became better, and how the gameplay became so much smoother. And understanding how to make things fun. People want to feel like they are powerful, even when it means kind of the AI is also becoming that strong. Like, this game kind of felt like Tekken in a sense to me, where it was a slow progression of everything. We were always adding in new stuff, but I could take the old stuff that I already knew and use that to have an easier time. So even when the bosses got harder, the fights got harder, I was still like, all right, I have general knowledge that I can use in these situations. The only reason I was playing these games was just to kind of get some lore and history before I jumped into City of the Wolves. I have seen why these games are so popular though, but it also makes me wonder why only now we're getting a new Fatal Fury game. They were so influential and so much fun. I wonder what the world would have looked like if we kept getting more Fatal Furies rather than KOFs.